In light of that, kind of had a heart for a while. Your elders and your deacons have wanted to add an element to this service where we're able to bring up people who either very imminently have had something amazing happen in their life that they would like to share about what God's doing, or, all of us at some point, in however many years we've been blessed with thus far, usually have a few stories or testimonies about God's goodness and God's grace. I wanted to actually ask Matt just to share with us a little bit this morning, because as we were meeting for our men's morning prayer Wednesday mornings, we realized Matt was going to be away from us for a couple of weeks and not even getting back until Easter Sunday. And because God called him, as with some old friends and familiar connections, to actually go and do some mission work in Kenya. And so we actually have some slides and just a short testimony, and I think I've actually invited him too. I know we'll have Pollock in a couple of weeks. If he has a little more to share, I'd like to give him an opportunity there. But I figured we'd spare 5 minutes, and maybe 6. People tell me my sermon's 30 and it's usually 40, so I mean we always tend to elevate, but why don't you just take a few minutes, brother, and share with us your adventures and what God has done for your heart.
Okay, well, I think the first thing is I have good news for James. The first thing I want to talk about is church. And I think I'll tell you first how I got called to Africa this time. Throughout my life, I was attending a church called Westside, and there was a pastor there, and he was ministering in Africa. And every time it's like, I want to go to Africa. And I felt God was saying, not yet, maybe when you retire. And I kind of felt like, oh, yeah, I'm going to retire, and God's still going to say, not yet. Well, I retired in November, and I think it was in the first part of January, my wife was looking at Facebook, and as often with us men, the word of the Lord came to me through my wife. She said, Richard's taking a team to Africa to work on this orphanage. You need to go.
Voice of God right there.
And the voice of God right there. I've been on a few of these, and they're always very inspiring, really life-changing. But anyway, to go back, we got to Nairobi about midnight, and we went to church the next morning. And church in Africa is nothing like church here. I'm just going to read a little bit of the schedule. It starts out with prayer and intercession from 7 to 9. 9 to 10 is Bible class. And then the regular church service runs from 10 to 12:30, but actually we got out about 2. So you have plenty of time to James. I'd also like to say that if you've seen anything on the internet, somebody looks a lot like me, acting crazy and dancing with the Kenyans, it is, as one of my friends says, a rabbi that escaped into the service. So anyway, I want to first talk about the main purpose we were there was this NGO is building an orphanage. There's a lot of orphans and widows in Kenya, and I guess you might say the board of directors, one of them in Kenya said, we need to build this orphanage. And the director here in the United States like, well, yeah, sure, but we don't have the, a couple $100,000 this is going to cost. And, but within a few months, money started coming in. And there's a tradition there that the owner or the manager of the building is there for laying the foundation and putting the roof on. So we went to work on the foundation, and I took my hammer and a few other carpentry tools and got there and found out that, well, we weren't doing carpentry, we were doing concrete work, and all of the work on the site was done by hand. There were no machines, except there was a small cement mixer for the structural concrete. So it was a lot of shovels and picks and wheelbarrows. I brought one of my tools. I used it for 2 days there. If you can't see, it's a nail. We were putting up the forms, sheet metal forms, for these columns you see, and they don't have a lot of tools. So you use whatever you can. The nail was used to twist the wires together to hold these forms together. It was really amazing. You can see they took the wheelbarrow to wherever they're going to use it. They put it into a pan that looks like a gold mining pan and handed it up to the guy that dumped it into the form. You can go to the next slide. I'm not sure what that one is. Oh, can you go back one? I think the one side. I want to say a little bit about the team that was there. Maybe I didn't get that into them. That is a picture of our construction team. There were about 40 Kenyan workers there, about 10 women that carried the water to the site. The river was about half a mile away down the hill. They carried it on 5-gallon buckets on their heads up for 50 cents a bucket. And they didn't put the well in so that these women could have an income during this time. So it sounds like they were giving them an opportunity for 50 cents a bucket, but that's more than a lot of people make. They were making, like $5, $10 a day, and which is really good if you're in that situation. So there were 9 of us. We were there for varying periods. I was there for 15 days. So that was really life-changing to work alongside these hardworking, guys. That was 85 to 95, and they worked 10, 12 hours a day. And us white people from America, we worked about 6 to 8 hours a day with a lot of rests in the shade and drinking a lot of water. I've never drank that much water in my life. It was amazing. And this will be an orphanage for about 80 to 100 kids. And one of the reasons that these are so necessary is that you can go ahead and go on to some of the next slides. We also visited a project they have in the slum. It's called, Kibera Slum in Nairobi. And the official census is 170,000 people live there, but other estimates are from 500,000 to 1 million people live there. And it is really bad. You can see one of the streets. It's about 8 feet wide between these sheet metal shacks. And that nice stream you see running down there is the sewer. This slum is surrounded by a wall about 12 feet high, metal gates guarded by the army. And the way that this whole organization called WorldCom got started is in 2008. In one night, 6,000 people were killed. And a lady working in the slum, doing just what she could, suddenly found 30 orphans at her doorstep. And she didn't know what to do, so she called her friend at the University of Nairobi, and he called this pastor in the United States, and that's how this was started. And right now they're feeding 500 to 600 kids every day, breakfast and dinner. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. They have uniforms, they're fed, they get medical care, and they're taught. And pardon me. Sometimes it seems like a very small, at this particular place, there's maybe 300 kids out of a slum that's holding hundreds of thousands of people. But I have to concentrate on it's changing their lives. And it's raising people up that can change lives. So I really had a hard time. Because you go in there and you see kids, and they're sorting through the garbage, and they're picking up wrappers and licking them, trying to get enough nourishment to stay alive. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, yeah, that's really impacting. And I think one of the things I brought away from that is, we can't change the world, but God has called us to do what we can. And I learned a long time ago that it's not hard to see God's will in your life if you look for opportunities to help people. Sorry. This is the last slide I have, and then I'll let James get on. Another project they have is in the boys' prison there. And about 3 or 4 years ago, one of the African directors was appointed a director of the prison, and he went there, and it was horrible. Boys were thrown in this prison basically to die. If you got an injury there, you would probably die of sepsis. They had very little to eat. They wore rags. They were warehoused, sleeping on the floor. And he said, we got to do something about this. Well, he was a doctor, so immediately he goes there every week. And I didn't see a single boy there that was not well. They started a training program. You see that they're wearing uniforms. Well, this NGO provides cloth. The boys are learning to be tailors, among a lot of other things, but they make their own uniforms. I also dance with the boys. Church is very exuberant in Kenya. It's long and it's loud, and I know you might have seen me up here. I was having a hard time keeping my feet from moving. It's exciting. If you have a chance to do something like this, it really will change your life. It makes you see how good we have it here, and it also gives you an idea of what you can do around the world. These Kenyan workers that you saw, they were making $2 to $3 a day. You can make a lot of difference with a small donation. So just think about that. And James has said at the potluck, I will bring my computer. I have 130 pictures or so. I got a lot of other stories. Some of them are better than what I talked about. Some of them are no better because there's a lot of need there. But I don't know. I'll never be the same. I'm already planning that I'll probably go back again. I can't do a lot. I wasn't one of the young and strong. They had two groups there from America. The young and the strong and the old and the wise. And you can guess which group I was in. But I may not be able to do a lot, but I can do a little. And that's what God calls each of us to do, what we can.